Hey, gymnastics moms, does your gymnast struggle to believe in herself, to think positively, especially when it comes to meet season? Maybe getting those last skills that she needs or thinking about meet season ahead of her. We have got you. This month, we have been teaching you the process that we use inside of our program with our gymnasts to help them step by step get to a new belief. So stick with us, and we are going to teach you that final step to work on their thought ladders. You're in Mindset for Moms, where we help moms develop happy, healthy gymnasts who know how to win. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm so excited to finish up the process of teaching this, teaching our what we do for our belief of getting to a new belief. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot that we do. We spend 2 different months on this inside of our next level program, our gold program. We spend time on this. We have a whole course on this called Actually Think Positively. So I don't want to give you the idea that like giving it to them once is gonna do this. A lot of times we help them come back to using a thought ladder again and again and again, especially when they get stuck on things. But here is a little bit of kind of why they need to practice new beliefs. So, if you didn't get the first video, in the first video, I talked about neural pathways. So, neural pathways are what's created in our brain when we have a thought. And the more that we think something, the deeper that neural pathway goes. And when the pathway is deep, your brain likes to use it because it's easy. And so I want you to think about a freeway. When it's easy to use the freeway, then your brain would rather do that than trying to build a brand new road. So when we're creating a new belief, when we're trying to think a new thought, we have to create a new neural pathway. And our brain doesn't really want to, because our brain likes to do what's easy and use as little energy as possible. And so because of that, our brain is like going to be stuck on like, no, I want to stay with the old belief. So this is why when gymnasts just try to think positively, it doesn't work for them, because you can't go from one to the other that quickly. I mean, you can go quickly, but you got to go there by process. And so we use this step-by-step process that I taught in the last video. So go back to the last video if you didn't watch it to learn the step-by-step process. We've been working on this all month. And then now it's about practicing it. So the reason that you have to practice it is to create the new neural pathway. Every time that you make your brain think that thought, it starts etching it in, etching it in, etching it in. And so you're going to want to do a lot of work on that. We have them do things like write lines, right? Then when you put pen to paper, your brain is forced to think the thought in a way that kind of sticks with it. This is why they used to make us write lines in the olden days. And so writing lines will actually help create that new belief. I tell them to like look in the mirror and say not the whole new belief, but the next rung up on the ladder that they're working on. So I talked about last week that what you want to do when you're working on a new belief is that so we have kind of our thought ladder. And so if your belief is currently on this one, like I'm learning how to believe that I can hit 4 for 4 in competition, then when you're in competition, you're at this one. You want to be focused on that one. Like I'm learning how. I'm learning how to hit 4 for 4. You don't want your brain like rebelling against you. But when you're at home, you're working on this one. More often than not, I hit 4 for 4. Now your brain might be like, no, I don't. That's not true. And so this is why we're working on repeating it. So they would be like, look themselves in the eye in the mirror and be like, more often than not, I hit 4 for 4 in a meet. Like just saying it again and again and again. Post-it notes, screensaver on their phone, like their wallpaper, making it say that. So many different ways like that to just like repeat it and practice it. But one of the things we also like to have them do is like answer the objections. So let's say I'm on that more often than not, I hit 4 for 4. And the brain is like, that's not true. You don't. Like, you didn't hit 4 for 4 the last 3 meets. So, or that probably wouldn't be true because you would be in the learning. But like whatever your brain objects. So the first thing you want to do is like, what are the different thoughts that your brain is saying to you when you are that it's like objecting to that rung on the ladder. So I was talking last week about the I'm learning phase, and I was coaching a girl, and she was talking about how um her brain didn't like her brain said, well, you're not learning because you're not doing it yet. If you were learning, you'd be doing it. That was the objection that it had. And I said, so then we kind of talked about what does it mean to learn something? I said, if somebody was learning a new skill, does that mean they have the new skill? Or does that mean sometimes they don't have it? A lot of times they don't have it. Maybe they're doing drills, maybe they're doing progressions. Like, when are they in the process of learning the skill? She's like, oh, I guess they're in the process of learning the skill when they're working on it. And so I was like, well, are you working on learning how to believe something new? And she's like, yeah, I'm doing the work. So then therefore you are learning how to do this new thing. And she was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So sometimes it's just answering those objections that the brain has is saying. So like if whatever the brain is saying about why you can't believe that rung of the ladder, then you want to counter it. You want to help it understand why that thought isn't true, or a different way of thinking about it, or another interpretation that you can make. That's a lot of the things I love to tell the girls. There's facts, and then there's the way that we're interpreting the facts, the stories we're making up about the facts, the stories we're telling about the facts. So, what's another way that you could tell a story about that fact? So, I fell at a meet last week. You can say, I always fall at meets, or, oh, this was a good one. One of my gymnasts gets stuck sometimes on her backward tumbling. And so she balked when she was trying to go for her tuck, and landed on her hands and knees because she didn't like complete the rotation. And so she was like, well, I always balk, I always mess up, I just can't do that. But then as we talked about it, I was like, well, what was another interpretation? Like, what else was going on in your head? And she goes, oh, well, I wasn't sure if I was going to do a tuck or a layout. I hadn't decided yet. I'm like, yeah, when you're in the middle of the skill and your body doesn't know what it's supposed to be doing, a tuck or a layout, it just freezes. That's normal. She's like, oh, yeah. So a different interpretation is that you just hadn't decided what to do yet. And that was why you balked, not that you just balk all the time for no reason. And that if you worked on deciding what to do ahead of time, that would help your body feel prepared to know what to do. So these are different ways that we work with them on how to practice that. But these are the questions that I love to use, which is, sorry, I'm just pulling them up. Is just like, what are the objections? And then what else would you say? Another one that we love to use is like, what would your future self tell you? Your future self who already believes this new thought, what would she come back and tell you? But a lot of it is just practicing it. It's just doing the repetitions. Like I say, I used to believe that it took months to get a new belief. And what I've really learned is it is not about time. It is about the number of times you practice it. And so if you practice this new belief again and again, and you do it rung by rung by rung, I usually have now found that my gymnasts who practice it daily get there in about 2 weeks. So I guess again, not amount of time, but because they're doing about that many repetitions. So there we have it. All right. So this is our process. Like I said, we do a lot more inside our program. So if you're interested in getting your gymnast involved, go to our website, go to our Work With Us page. We have a lot of information there about how your gymnast can get in our program, because this is a lot to help them do. And this is what we do day in and day out. We help them all the time get to new beliefs so that they can believe in themselves, so that they can have positive thoughts that are going to get them the results that they want. The belief comes first. So if they want this amazing result, they want to get to the next level. They want to hit 4 for 4. They want to get the scores to stand out. They want to get recruited. They want to be noticed by recruiters. They want to make it to nationals. The belief comes first, and we help them change those beliefs so that they can get there. All right. That is all I have for you. Next month, we are going to talk about competing with confidence. So make sure you tune in.